The envelope trembled in her small hands as tears carved clean paths down her dirt-smudged cheeks. Marcus Wellington had seen desperation before, in boardrooms, in failed negotiations, in the eyes of executives begging to save their companies. But he'd never seen it look quite like this. A girl no older than 7, standing in the rain outside his favorite coffee shop, clutching a wrinkled $50 bill like it was her last hope in the world. Please, mister, she whispered, her voice barely audible over the drumming rain. I just need a dad for one day. Marcus froze, his hand on the door of his Mercedes. He'd been planning to work through the weekend, to review the quarterly reports that waited in his penthouse office downtown. He'd been planning to do what he always did, exist in the carefully constructed isolation he'd built around himself since Catherine died 3 years ago. But something about the way this child looked at him, with those impossibly hopeful eyes, stopped him cold. What did you say? He asked, crouching down to her level, rain soaking through his $2,000 suit. My name is Emma, she said, pushing the wet $50 bill toward him. It's all I have. I saved it from my birthdays and Christmas. Tomorrow is the father-daughter dance at school, and her voice cracked, and she looked down at her worn sneakers. I don't have a dad. He left before I was born. Mom works 2 jobs, and she says she's sorry but she can't be 2 parents. All my friends will be there with their dads, and I just want to know what it feels like. Just for one day. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest, a place that had been frozen solid for 36 months. He thought of his own daughter, Lily, who would have been Emma's age now. He thought of all the father-daughter dances he'd never get to attend, all the memories he'd never make. I can't take your money, he said softly, closing her fingers around the crumpled bill. But I'll make you a deal. You keep your $50, and I'll be your dad tomorrow. No charge. The smile that broke across Emma's face could have powered the entire city grid. Really? You promise? I promise, Marcus said, and felt the words settle into his bones like an oath. The next afternoon, Marcus stood in front of his mirror, adjusting his tie for the 5th time. He'd worn this suit to presentations in front of Fortune 500 boards, to charity galas attended by celebrities and politicians. But he'd never been this nervous. In his pocket was a corsage, pale pink roses, because Emma had mentioned on the phone that pink was her favorite color. When he pulled up to the small apartment building on the east side, Emma was waiting on the steps, transformed. Her curly brown hair had been pulled into 2 neat braids, and she wore a simple blue dress that had clearly been carefully ironed. Her mother, a tired-looking woman with kind eyes and hands worn from hard work, stood beside her. Mr. Wellington, she said, and Marcus could hear the catch in her voice. I don't know how to thank you. When Emma told me what she'd done, I was horrified. We don't take charity, and we don't impose on strangers. Mrs. Rodriguez, Marcus interrupted gently. Your daughter didn't impose. She gave me a gift I didn't know I needed. Emma bounded down the steps and grabbed his hand with complete trust. Come on, Dad. We're going to be late. The word, Dad, hit him like a physical blow, but he squeezed her small hand and smiled. Then let's go, sweetheart. The school gymnasium had been transformed with streamers and balloons, a disco ball casting fractured light across the polished floor. Father-daughter pairs filled the space, some fathers looking uncomfortable in hastily donned suits, some daughters hiding behind their dad's legs, shy and giggling. Marcus and Emma stood at the entrance, and he felt Emma's grip tighten on his hand. What if people ask who you are? She whispered. Marcus knelt down, meeting her eyes. Then you tell them the truth. I'm Marcus, and I'm lucky enough to be your date tonight. Anyone who has a problem with that will have to answer to me. Emma's answering grin was pure sunlight. They danced to every song. Marcus, who had waltzed with dignitaries and diplomats, found himself doing the chicken dance and the hokey pokey with complete abandon. He won a stuffed bear for Emma at the cake walk. He laughed when she stepped on his feet during a slow song, and he didn't care when his perfect hair got mussed from her enthusiastic hug when she won the best twirl competition. But the moment that changed everything came during the final dance of the evening. As they swayed to a soft ballad, Emma looked up at him with sudden seriousness. Mr. Marcus, she said quietly. Why did you really say yes? Was it because you felt sorry for me? Marcus felt his throat tighten. Around them, other pairs swayed and laughed, lost in their own worlds. But in this moment, it was just him and this brave little girl who'd had the courage to ask a stranger for help. No, Emma, he said honestly. I said yes because I had a daughter once. Her name was Lily. She died 3 years ago, along with my wife, in a car accident. Since then, I've been so angry at the world for taking them away that I forgot how to be grateful for the time we had together. But when I saw you standing in the rain, asking for just one day to feel what it's like to have a father, I realized something. What? Emma asked, her eyes wide. That maybe we both needed this. You needed a dad for a day. And I needed to remember that love doesn't end just because someone is gone. It just finds new ways to exist. Lily would have liked you very much. Emma's arms wrapped around his waist, and she pressed her face into his suit jacket. I'm sorry about your daughter. But thank you for sharing her with me tonight. I'll bet she was the best dancer at all her father-daughter dances. Marcus couldn't speak past the lump in his throat, so he just held her close as the music played in his heart. That frozen, bitter thing began to thaw. When he drove Emma home that night, her mother was waiting on the steps again. Emma ran to her, the stuffed bear clutched in one hand, talking a mile a minute about every dance, every game, every perfect moment. Mrs. Rodriguez met Marcus's eyes over her daughter's head, and no words were needed. But as Marcus turned to leave, Emma's voice stopped him. Mr. Marcus, do you think? I mean, would it be okay if, maybe we could do this again sometime? Not just for dances, but maybe just to hang out. Marcus felt something shift in his chest, something that felt like hope and healing and the possibility of redemption all tangled together. He'd spent 3 years believing that the only way to honor his daughter's memory was to preserve his grief, to keep his heart locked away where it couldn't be hurt again. But Emma had shown him a different truth. The best way to honor those we've lost is to keep loving, keep living, keep opening our hearts even when it's terrifying. Emma, he said, crouching down one last time. I would like that very much. In fact, I was thinking, I know a great ice cream place that's open on Saturdays. What do you say we make it a weekly tradition? Her answering squeal could probably be heard 3 blocks away. As Marcus drove home that night, the city lights blurring past his windows, he finally understood what Catherine had tried to tell him in those final moments in the hospital, before the injuries took her. Don't stop living. Don't let grief turn you into stone. Promise me you'll find joy again. He'd broken that promise for 3 years. But a little girl with $50 and more courage than most adults he knew had reminded him what it meant to be human, to be vulnerable, to take chances on connection, to believe that sometimes the most important business deals aren't made in boardrooms at all. They're made in the rain, with a child brave enough to ask for what she needs, and a man broken enough to finally say yes. The next Saturday, Marcus showed up at Emma's apartment with ice cream money and a photo album. Inside were pictures of Lily, her first steps, her kindergarten graduation, her gap-toothed smile on her 6th birthday. He'd kept these locked away, unable to look at them without drowning in loss. But as he sat on the worn couch in the Rodriguez's small living room, with Emma on one side and her mother on the other, he felt something miraculous happen. The memories didn't hurt the way they used to. Instead, they felt like bridges, connecting the past to the present, connecting his daughter to this new child who needed what he had to give, connecting his grief to something that looked surprisingly like gratitude. She was really pretty, Emma said softly, touching Lily's picture with gentle fingers. And I'll bet she was really smart too. She was, Marcus agreed, his voice steady. Just like you. Mrs. Rodriguez wiped her eyes, and Marcus understood that this moment was healing something in her too. The guilt of a mother who couldn't be everything, who couldn't fill the father-shaped hole in her daughter's life no matter how hard she tried. Thank you, she whispered, and Marcus knew she wasn't just thanking him for one dance, but for showing up, for staying, for choosing love over isolation. No, Marcus said, looking at Emma's bright face and feeling his heart beat with purpose for the first time in years. Thank you. Both of you. You gave me back something I thought I'd lost forever. What's that? Emma asked. Marcus smiled, and it felt like coming home. A reason to believe in tomorrow. Outside, the city hummed with life, millions of souls brushing past each other, most never truly connecting. But in that small apartment, 3 people who'd been strangers a week ago had become something else entirely. A family, built not on blood but on kindness, on the courage to ask for help, and the grace to offer it without expecting anything in return. And somewhere, Marcus liked to think, Catherine and Lily were smiling, knowing that love, real love, never really ends. It just finds new hearts to call home.